Okay, this section is vitally important to your success in this business. Okay, eyes open, ears wide, and let's begin. So this section is all about goal setting. It's this section that's going to let you know how much money you can potentially earn with this business. Okay, this is the exciting stuff. This is where you get motivated and say, you know what? I can do this business. I can make this work. I'm going to make this set amount of money. And I'm going to show you how to set realistic goals that you can actually obtain. So, how much money can you realistically make in this business? Well, I can tell you from personal experience, it's a lot. As a matter of fact, I started this business in 2012, and it allowed me to quit my job at a hotel and do this full time. When setting a goal, it's very important that you set a goal that you have a 50-50 chance of reaching. Now, why do I say this? When we live in a self-help culture where we should all shoot for the stars, we should all do it big, and go hard or go home, or any other idiom that you can think of. Well, the reason I say this is because if you set your goals way too high, and you're halfway through the duration that you should obtain your goal and you don't attain it, you're probably going to give up. You're going to feel defeated. And, from what I've seen, people who don't reach their goals, they try something else. And, I hate for you to fail your first time just because you set your sights too high. So the questions you have to ask yourself when setting a first-time goal for this business is, how many hours do you have to dedicate toward this business? Number 2, how much money do you have to invest in this business? And number 3, what products are you primarily selling when you're doing this business? Okay, so let's talk about the first one. How many hours per week do you have to dedicate toward this job? Now, some people out there, they're going to have full-time jobs, so their time is going to be limited. That's okay. The beauty of this business is that you can do it in your free time. You don't have to put aside 40 and 50 hours a week to actually make a great profit with it. So like I said, calculate the number of hours per week you have to work in this job and make sure you stick to it. So if you figure out that you have, let's say, 10 hours a week to spare to spend on this job to actually make it work, make sure that you actually do 10 hours a week and calculate, just like a normal job, your clock in and your clock out time. Okay, so the first one, figure out how much time you have to invest in this business. And by the way, as I'm going through each of these steps, please get a pen or paper, or if you're on your phone or your computer, please write down all of the information to set your goal, okay? So like I said, for the first one, you want to see how much time you have during a week in hours to do this business. So it doesn't matter if you're working a full-time job right now, or perhaps you're unemployed or have other sources of income and you have more ample time. No matter what it is that you're doing right now, you can still make a really, really good income doing this business. So just write down the number of hours and then move on to step 2. Step 2 is going to be finding out how much money you have to invest in this business. Technically speaking, you can start with $0 in this business and just sell something that you already have. Maybe you have a digital camera laying around, or maybe you have an old iPhone. That can be your startup capital. So whatever your startup capital is to make this business work for you, go ahead and write that number down, or write down the items that you have to sell to start this business. And then lastly, figure out what items you want to primarily sell. It's totally okay to sell multiple items. For me, I sold appliances, I sold furniture, I sold cell phones. I've sold virtually everything on every section of Craigslist. Now, what did I primarily focus on? Well, appliances and furniture. So find what items you want to focus on and write those items down. So now that you have those 3 items jotted down, the amount of time to do this business, the amount invested, and also the types of products you want to sell, we can move on to actually making you a realistic goal that you can hit at least 50% of the time, starting out and going forward. I'm going to talk about 3 different people. One's going to be named Joe, one's going to be Amy, and one's going to be Clark. Let's talk about Joe first. Joe has 10 hours a week to spend on this job. Joe also has $3,000 to invest in this business, and Joe wants to sell cell phones. Okay, In this scenario, Joe does not have a lot of time to do this business. So the best thing for him to do to maximize profits is always, with any scenario, buy as cheaply as you possibly can. So Joe is going to buy these cell phones as cheaply as he can on Craigslist, Facebook, or the other avenues that we buy things on. But he's going to list his prices higher than most of the competition. The reason he's going to do this is because he doesn't have a lot of time to go out and deliver something to somebody else or have somebody come to him to buy something. So if he's setting the prices higher up, he's going to be able to maximize his profit margins, because even though it will take longer to sell these products for the prices he's putting on there, eventually they are going to sell. Someone's going to like his photos, they're going to like his products and his description. So whenever he does have time to sell, he's going to be able to. In this scenario, Joe can expect to make probably $50 an hour because he has a lot of money to invest, even though he doesn't have much time. So our next person is Amy. Amy sells books, clothes, and jewelry. These are moderately profitable items, especially the books. Okay, Amy has about 20 to 25 hours per week to dedicate toward the business, and she has $1,000 to invest. So she has enough capital to invest a good bit into her books and jewelry. But her time is a little bit limited as far as how much she can invest in this business. With her, as expected, she should take a middle-of-the-road approach to where her prices are not sky high, but they fall right in line with the rest of the competition. Of course, her photos and her descriptions are going to be spectacular, and that's going to set her apart from everybody else. So while she's doing her full-time job, she's going to be selling these items at the moderate prices that she's setting, and she'll be able to maximize her profits this way. And lastly, we have Clark. Clark is unemployed, so he has a limited amount of time to do this business. Let's go ahead and put him at 50 hours per week. Since he's unemployed, he also does not have any money to do this business. So what he's going to do is he's going to sell a laptop computer that he has, and he also has an old set of washer and dryer that's sitting out on his lawn that he's going to sell. Let's put his startup capital at $500 after he sells these items. Clark has a pickup truck, so he wants to sell furniture and he wants to sell appliances, washing machines, stoves, etc. So with Clark, he's going to set his prices rather low. His prices are going to be lower than most of the competition. Of course, he's still going to make a profit, but his goal is to flip these items again and again and again because he has the time to do so. He's not able to sit on these items. He needs money now, and he's going to make more profit if he flips them quickly. Sure, it's more work, and he's going to make less per hour, but at the end of the week, he's going to have the most money because of this method. So now that you're better acquainted with Joe, Amy, and Clark, I'm going to put some numerical values behind their goals, and I'm going to show you how much you can expect to make in your own business by the examples I'm setting with Joe, Amy, and Clark. Like I said before, Joe has $3,000 to invest. He doesn't have very much time available to him because he has a full-time job, and he wants to sell cell phones. So let's say Joe wants to sell iPhone 6Ss. I'm going to simplify it and just make one item per person, but of course you can have multiple items to sell. But let's just say he wants to sell an iPhone 6S, and that's it. Okay, so he has $3,000 to invest. He's going to buy 10 iPhone 6Ss for $300 each. 10 times 300 equals 3,000, so that's his investment. Now, he's going to list each iPhone 6S for $550. Now, when he does that, every time he sells one, he's going to make a profit of $250. When it's all said and done, after the week's over, assuming he sold all of the iPhones, which I think is possible, he will have made a profit of $2,500. Not bad for 10 hours of work. Now, on to Amy. Amy has $1,000 to invest, and she has about 25 to 30 hours of free time on her hands. So with her, I'm going to say she's going to sell books, okay? She's going to sell textbooks that she buys from Goodwills and other flea markets and other places like that. She buys them really, really cheap at these places, and she sets the price high. and she sells primarily in college towns where students need these textbooks. So her investment of $1,000, I believe, could eventually be $3,000 after it's all said and done. Now on to Clark. Like I said, Clark is going to make the most money despite not even starting with any money. He's going to basically sell himself out of trouble, and he's going to do so with ease. Clark is going to sell some personal items and have a starting amount of $500 to invest. With that $500, he's going to buy 5 sets of washers and dryers, each set for $100. And he's going to sell each set for $300. And he's going to keep stacking and stacking and stacking until he's not able to stack anymore. At $300, his price is pretty low. It's lower than most of his competition, and he also bought these for only $100. And by the way, you can find these very easily on Craigslist. I've done it hundreds of times at least, where people are trying to move out and they just want to sell something really quickly. So you can definitely buy them for $100, and if you're selling them with the right photos and the right description, it shouldn't be any issue to sell them for $300 a pop. So at the end of this time, Clark starts with virtually nothing. He starts with $500. At the end of the week, I think he can also have $3,000. And most impressive of all was Clark. Clark started with 0 goose egg, but he sold a couple of items he already had, and those items gave him $500 starting capital. He turned that $500 into $3,000 profit. Now sure, he worked his ass off for it. He worked 50 hours a week, and he made, let's see, 3,000 into 50. He made $60 an hour when it was all said and done. Certainly not bad, and next week he's going to have more money to invest in his business. Now with these examples, I want you to set your own goal. Make it realistic. It doesn't have to be the exact goals I've just stated. And also make sure that you leave some leeway for yourself, because you are going to make mistakes. It's my job as the educator in this course to teach you everything that you have to do to become successful. But you're going to retain maybe 40% of everything I'm saying if you really listen intently. I don't expect you to know everything right off the bat going into the field. Okay, some things you're going to have to know just from your own experiences. And I know this business. I've done this business for 4 years. I still make mistakes. It's going to happen. Should you set a goal for $3,000 if you have no money? Yes, maybe eventually. I would not do it for your first week though, because I don't want to set you up for failure. Instead, you might want to set a goal for say $1,000, okay? Now let's say that week you make $1,500. Awesome, really awesome. That means you've exceeded your goal and you can move on to next week with a higher goal and more promise for the following weeks to come. So go ahead and write down your goal, whatever that goal is. Make sure it's realistic and make sure it's something that you have at least a good chance of obtaining. So once you got that down, memorize it, take a snapshot with your own eyes, take a snapshot with your phone, and repeat it every single day. I'm going to make X amount of dollars this week. And feel it in your body, feel it in your soul when you say this, and do the work necessary to make it happen. Guys, I wish you the best of luck in this business. I truly do. I love making goal videos because that's what it's all about. It's all about making money. It's all about putting food on our tables and doing the exciting stuff that life should be about. So I'm going to see you in the next one.